Hello and welcome to Fulgrim's Weekly Crusade. I'm going to be talking to you about what's been going on the last week of Eternal Crusade with a bias towards my own personal interest, which is Heavy Bolter Devastator. So, this week we've seen patch 18 hit and 3 hotfixes. So it's a big patch, lots been added into the game. We've got the Eldar, they've been released with 2 classes missing, unfortunately. I've been facing them fairly regularly, but less often than Chaos. They're a good fight, but the new suppression rules don't deal as well with the high shuriken rate of fire. We've got the Garrison's in, that's a really nice addition to the game. It's an area with friendly fire turned off. In which there are also target dummies at a whole bunch of ranges. There's ammo boxes, there's loadout stations where you can change your loadout choice without having to redeploy, and it's got a separate vehicle area. So, like I said, really good addition to the game. Lets you play around with loadouts and tactics and get a feel for the weapons without messing up a normal game. Another addition to the game is they've changed the way that suppression works. It now builds up rather than applies immediately, and affects allies less than it does enemies. Great change there. Great change. It's a good design change, but the building up means that your enemies can usually get a few decent shots in before the suppression starts making a difference. So this makes it more difficult than before if someone's firing at you from off screen. You used to be able to spin and send off a completely unaimed shot near them, get that suppression on, get some protection, but that doesn't work anymore. You need to get a fair few shots on before the suppression starts giving you that protection. They've changed the way accuracy works. There's now a much larger difference between aimed fire and hip fire. This works really well for us heavy bolters since we are bracing or crouching and aiming so much. Hip fire is to be avoided whenever possible. So that difference, it's a really positive feel on the game. Melee's been tidied up. I haven't paid a lot of attention to the details of melee. One big thing is backstab damage has now been removed from past attacks, so you need to do a heavy attack in order to get that backstab. So the days of the melee just running up behind you and one-shotting you or two-shotting you is, well, it's still there. It's still going to happen, but it's a lot harder for them to do it. And if they don't do that, then you can generally survive a lot longer. Now, I usually still lose because I'm a Havoc or a Devastator, depending on which side I'm playing, and I lose in melee. That's what I do. But now, rather than just being a free kill, I make them work for it. So I get a D-bash in, a couple of light, fast attacks. I'll sometimes even have time to get in a heavy attack. It doesn't do much, but it feels like I'm doing something, which is a fantastic change from the way it used to be, which was just like, I might as well just hands off the keyboard because I'm going to die. But yeah, big difference there. So that's what patch 18 said. Forums have been pretty active in regards to the heavy bolter. Patch 18 with the suppression change in particular has spawned a number of threads talking about that suppression change and what people want it or don't want it. So there's several threads either wanting the effect buffed or wanting it removed entirely, the other side of the coin. Remove it entirely in favour of more damage. On my main heavy bolter feedback, just hitting 95 pages now, I think. So topic of discussion this week has largely been around the damage versus suppression trade-off. A lot of back and forth, people throwing data around, throwing personal experience around, people changing their minds, people agreeing or disagreeing. But the general consensus seemed to be that the total damage output is low compared to the weakened benefits of suppression on the heavy bolter. But we didn't really think that increasing the damage per shot was going to be a good fix for that, because that can very easily get out of hand. We did see Michael Chan, one of the developers, drop by that thread. He had some very interesting things to say. First of all, that there would be an increase in zoom via a decrease in field of view when braced, so much so that targets will now be approximately 2.5 times the size that they currently are. So that's going to really help our long range tracking ability. A lot easier to keep your shots on target when the target is larger and easier to hit. He also mentioned that recoil reduction was not working when braced, so that could be a huge change to the way the heavy bolter works if what we're currently seeing is more recoil than we should. That again will make it a lot easier to keep our shots on target. He also said a very interesting thing, that he wants the heavy bolter, or maybe in general, but he wants there to be a lot more shooting, a lot more combat, and the 30 to 100 meter range, and plans to achieve that with accuracy fixes rather than damage increases on the heavy bolter, in order to keep the close range damage under control. And I find that particularly interesting because the 30 to 100 meter range is where I think the heavy bolter is intended to be used, and it's difficult to do that these days. So it's good to see that lines up with what the developers are wanting, and that they've got a plan for getting there. I think those two changes, the field of view and the recoil reduction, will get us a long way there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing those coming in game. Another thread that I've been posting on is I've been doing some testing in the garrison, trying to create a database of weapon stats. I've set myself up at 4 different ranges and try to use the same firing spots, and I've been collecting stats on each weapon. So that's rate of fire, damage per shot, range, fall off is kind of tracked, but also basic things like ammo, total ammo, magazine size, how long it takes to overheat, how long it takes to empty a mag, and also melee swing timers, and the difference between a heavy and a fast attack, and so forth. Now it is a work in progress. I've haven't got back to it for a couple of days. The Eldar weapons are not all in there. The Eldar melee isn't there at all. I need to update to include the chest hitbox as well as the legs and head. But I'm hoping that this will allow us to compare weapons and their performance objectively rather than subjectively. So yeah, that's my week in Eternal Crusade, and I'll leave you with a bit of random combat, and I hope to see you in game.